Mic check 1 2. Mic check 1 2. All right, ladies and gentlemen, PHFL, welcome to This Week in the PHFL. We got a jam-packed show today. We're going to be going over. We didn't change it now. Shout out to the commissioner, Coach Shifty. You know what? He said, Reg, man, go ahead, man, and talk to the media team, the PHFL media team, and start focusing on user highlights. I said, man, you know what? You're right. So make sure you get those highlights or get those videos saved, or you can clip them when you make a great play. Just clip them, send it to me via in the Discord via DM, and I'll make sure that they definitely get brought up in today's or that week's highlight show. We're gonna go through an interesting segment on who would you rather have. We got two young elite wide receivers on two ends of the spectrum. So I'm going to be curious on which one would you rather have? We're going to go over the PHFL power rankings, and we had some movement at the top. PHFL surprising teams, kind of the good, the bad, and the ugly. And then we'll take a quick look around Week 6 action to close out Week 6 as we enter into week number 7 of the PHFL. So let's get into the highlights. This first one here, I mean, this literally should be on a episode of
shotgun snap to Purdy.
Well, this one here is this is a good play right here.
As he throws there, it's going to wind up incomplete. The pressure got to him that time, and it'll set up second down.
Here is again San Francisco and Kansas City. 0-0.
It's Purdy.
Kansas City again. I mean, San Francisco
to the right
out route
side,
that was missed again, starting at the beginning
Mike,
of the game.
when you're completing less than 35% of your passes, you're just not going to win a lot of games in the NFL. He's just too
figure out the
erratic
tendencies
throughout
of
the course of the game.
team
Sometimes
that
it's
you're
exactly
going
how they
against.
practiced.
You're trying to figure
And
out,
other times,
exactly,
it looks like they've never practiced at all.
what the team is ultimately, kind of up to. Now this one here.
Third
again,
down. He's gonna
hold on, let me do this right here. Let me do this right here.
Not quite to the end zone, but in great position, out of bounds at the 3. That is a big gain for the 49ers.
So let's transition.
Gains and even
this right here got to be the catch of the year. Look at Zay. Okay, hold on. Y'all missed it. I know y'all missed it. Let's go back. Let's go back. Let's slow it down. Look at the catch right here, y'all.
Running at the 2. And he'll take it on in.
Mike has engagement in our literally one of the catches of the year in Baltimore. Now, let's go to Detroit and Minnesota. I had to catch up with our media team, but now we're kind of in lockstep. So now, listen, you can't knock the user. So right now, you see the user is Jackson. That's Jackson right there at the top of your screen. Relatively kind of easy, but he's playing this position. He's coming downhill. A bad pass, but again, user alert, playing his position, playing his field. Detroit up 21-7. Let's go to another user. Again, play of the game. So Brandt's coming down. McCarthy back to pass. Hutchinson came in, just got rid of it. Okay, again, the game is still within reach. So now let's go to, again, you got Campbell. So right now, let me pause it. Let me get to the highlights and let me pause it. So you see right now, there's Campbell. User play, we're going to focus on, again, your ability to make user plays, getting you in, this segment of the PHFL. So there's Campbell right there. I froze it. There's the user. And now let's hit play. Again, you still got to read your eyes. You still got to pay attention to your keys. You got to look at the quarterback, where he's going. Again, I don't want to say it's a difficult user play, but I love it because instead of going back, boom, made a great user play. Can't knock it. Again, you can't knock it. Let's go back and look at it again. Campbell, again, he's in a strafe position, fading back, looking at it. And then you look at it, there's three, you got two right here that's on the right hash. And then you got Campbell literally is covering, in essence, he's really covering those two receivers that looks like one is going to be going underneath and one is going to be. So literally both of them are kind of in the same area. So kind of a really bad concept as far as, again, throwing right at the user in the user area. But again, you got to make a play on that. Great play by Campbell. Again, welcome to the user. Now, back to Kansas City and San Francisco. Game just started. Again, San Francisco with the football, put a guy in motion. Brock Purdy, again, cuts it off. Again, he should have made that user play. He was right there. But Brock Purdy was able to get it over top of his head. Now, here's the play. So we got Bolton. Now, we're going to freeze it. We're going to freeze it right here. So right now he's on Bolton. We understand that. But you sometimes have to make a user play when you are not on, the particular area that he's throwing to. So not only did he cut in front of Ayuk, made the user play, but now he's turning into an offensive player. Switched. Okay, so let me fade back. He switched it. So again, that's for all you youngins that don't know. You switch hands with RB. So you switch hands. So again, got the ball right now. Okay, boom, is in the right hand. Okay, switched it. Stiff arms Trent. Get off me. And takes it back to the Crizzle. Touchdown, Kansas City. Again, we understand, sometimes you got to click on. You got to click on and make a play. He made the play. And again, switched it, turned into an offensive player. Stiff arm, a 330-pound all-pro left tackle who probably is not used to making tackles, and took it all the way to the crib for a touchdown. Now, let's go to, again, staying in San Francisco and Kansas City. Again, we're going to definitely add more user plays as we go through and grab these videos. San Francisco, again, with the ball. This one here, this is probably one of my favorites because I'm going to tip my hat. The user, and again, I don't want to talk until we get to the play. Again, let me get a little fast forward here because this is not the actual play. Okay, so here it is right here. So, look at where, cover two, right? There's Watson. So I love the fact that Watson is in a hook curl. So he only has about really 15 yards of area to cover. But again, noticing nobody was in his zone. Okay, so now I'm a freelance. So Watson, I love it that he picked up on Kittles. But again, center is going to throw it. Brock Purdy put it up there. Watson is right there. No.
This one for Kittle.
Again, you gotta. Did he go for the pick? Should he have gone for the swat? We're not sure. Again, great ball placement, touchdown by Kittles. Again, sometimes you get the dog, and sometimes the dog get your ass. So again, great play by Kittles. Again, it was a good user play because he was right there. And I think in some cases, again, as a user, it may be beneficial to go for the swat instead of the interception. But most of us, again, are going to be hyper aggressive and go for the interception. Now, this one here, we're going to call this a great play. So San Francisco right now is in the red zone. So they had the wide receiver was in a trips formation. He goes in motion, circles back around behind McCaffrey and Purdy. But look at the defense. So look, you got
You got Ayuk going one way. You got McCaffrey going the other. So, I mean, just look at it. Look,
Slot receiver,
goes in
headed
motion, right? Comes around. Look at the defense, though. Look at the
To
user.
throw, one-
Look, the user don't know. Look at Cook. When Cook don't know where he's going
More,
at.
it's
And
Purdy.
then look at your man coming through the back door.
That's hauled in
I mean,
at
that's a
two.
beautiful user play.
And
You
he'll
can't. I
take
mean,
it
sometimes
on
again,
in.
you got to tip your hat
Christian
when a
McCaffrey.
beautiful user play
Touchdown, San
is
Francisco.
made. So again, that is this week in the PHFL. As far as user plays, we're going to add more user plays as we head further along into the season. Now let's get to the PHFL power ranking, and we definitely had some movement, and we'll definitely go through kind of the why behind the what's. Our new number one team in the power ranking is, ladies and gentlemen, your Kansas City Chiefs. They are undefeated on the season, and right now, Coach Twitch really hasn't missed a beat. So again, they are number one in the power ranking, followed by the Buffalo Bills. Again, the Buffalo Bills still riding high after their victory over the New York Jets, are number two in the power ranking. And this week here, Buffalo looks like they have a bye week. Yep. No, they play the Tennessee Titans. So again, they're going to get a win just based off of CPU, so they'll get a win. Number three, ladies and gentlemen, it's your Dallas Cowboys. For those who don't know the pedigree of Coach True Gamer, Coach True Gamer is an OG. He's been in these we're going to call it Brotherhood / now PHFL streets for a minute. And those who, again, I think nobody picked Coach True Gamer over Coach DZ in the PHFL Pick'em series, but he knocked off the Lions 33-21. That's not a surprise. Coach True Gamer has been cracking DZ head for a minute. So this is not anything that's new. It's not anything that's shocking. Again, True Gamer is a ultimate competitor, and when he's on his A game, he's definitely a tough foe. He comes in, and the Dallas Cowboys undefeated at number 3. Number 4 in the PHFL power ranking is your Green Bay Packers. Again, they are also undefeated. Got a good matchup next week against the Jacksonville Jaguars, and again, that's our game of the week, and we'll touch on that in an upcoming segment. But they come in at number 4. The New York Jets made a move in the power ranking. They are now number 5, and the Jets, again, coming off a tough loss to the Buffalo Bills this week. They have the Pittsburgh Steelers, so they'll get another win under their belt. Coming in at number 6 is your Los Angeles Chargers. They are going up against the Arizona Cardinals this week, and again, the Chargers came off a 31-27 hard-fought victory over the Denver Broncos. At number 7 is your Jacksonville Jaguars, Duval County. They're coming in at number 7 on the PHFL power ranking, 24-21 victory. They're 5-1 over the Bears, but they're going to get a real test next week as they go up against the high-flying. They already knocked off the Patriots, but again, in the upcoming week, they're going up against the Green Bay Packers in our PHFL game of the week, and making their first trip into the PHFL power ranking are the surprising Carolina Panthers. They are 5-1, and they had a hard-fought 17-13 victory over the Atlanta Falcons. So now, again, the Panthers have a tough matchup against the offensively talented Washington Commanders this week. So again, that should definitely be a good overall matchup. And dropping out of the PHFL Elite 8 is the Detroit Lions. Again, not necessarily off of just one loss. Again, as the committee kind of looks at things from a holistic perspective, this was really the first quality opponent that the Lions have faced this year. Again, their victories were over the Rams, Tampa Bay, Arizona, and Seattle. So again, their first tough victory of the season didn't bode well. They lost 33-21, so they dropped out of the PHFL Elite 8 power ranking. So there is your top 8 thus far in the PHFL reboot. Again, your Kansas City Chiefs, followed by Buffalo, Dallas, Green Bay, the New York Jets, the LA Chargers, the Jacksonville Jaguars, and the Carolina Panthers. Now, something new that we've added to the PHFL this week in the PHFL show is the surprising team. So again, some of them may be, man, they're surprising because they're winning. Maybe some of them surprising because they're losing. And leading this week's surprising team, I mean, you got to tip your hat, man. Coach Mike S. The Baltimore Ravens are now 5-2. I mean, they knocked off the Commanders. Again, they had another victory this week over the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And right now, like it or not, learn to love it. The Baltimore Ravens and Mike S. they are running away with the AFC North Division. So, we still have a lot of football to go, but you got to tip your hat to the Ravens and Coach Mike S. at 4-1. A surprising, again, the surprising number 2 team is the Washington Commanders with Coach Rell at 3-3. I mean, when you look at the Commanders offense with Jaden Daniels, you have Deebo Samuels, who's a superstar. You have Terry McLaurin, who's an X factor. You got Brian Robinson Jr. You got Laramie Tunsil. I mean, this is a team right now that literally, from an offensive perspective, can match up with any team in the PHFL from just a talent perspective. And then looking at their offense, they're 19th in points, 21st in yards, 22nd in passing yards, and 14th in rushing yards. So again, they are definitely more on the surprising, like, wow, we would expect for them to be a lot better than what they are. But again, right now at 3-3, and then looking at their upcoming schedule, they have the Carolina Panthers coming up. They have the New York Giants. They got Philly. They got Dallas. So a couple of tough games. However, there's a couple of games, CPU games, that they can get some victories in to push themselves back into the playoff contention. They do end the season with Philly, Atlanta, and Dallas. It's going to be a tough stretch for the Commanders. But right now, again, they're one of the surprising teams, more on the bad end. Number 3, your Jacksonville Jaguars. Coach hit them up. I mean, he's 5-1. I mean, you are what your record says you are. So again, 5-1. The Jacksonville Jaguars right now, again, are looking pretty good in the AFC South Division. They're leading it 2 games over the Colts. So again, you definitely got to tip your hat to the Jacksonville Jaguars and Coach hit them up. And the 4th team, the Carolina Panthers, at 5-1. There's been some debate as far as the talent of the Carolina Panthers. Now, looking at it from an offensive perspective, they're 14th in points, they're 19th in total yards, they're 20th in passing yards, and they're 8th in rushing yards. However, like if we look at, their overall, just like, I guess from a dev perspective, one superstar in Derek Brown, and then from a star perspective, let's count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Oops, hold on. 13, 14, 15, 16 star players. So, I mean, the cupboard is not, 100% bare. I mean, there is some opportunities definitely for improvement with the quarterback, Bryce Young. Also, again, with drafts and free agents. But again, you got to tip your hat with the Carolina Panthers at this point in the season being 5-1. Second in the Coach Yales, listen, man, I know ain't nobody there, but man, you got to play who's on the schedule. We'll get some competition over there, Coach Yales. We'll definitely get somebody over there to give you, a little bit of comp. But right now, take advantage of it, build up your team, so that way when you get in the playoffs, you can have some success. Team number 5 is your Minnesota Vikings and Coach Balling. I mean, Coach Balling, again, he's gonna put the ball in the air. Right now, he's not, from all the rumors and all of the whispers that are coming out of the Twin Cities, he's not happy with J.J. McCarthy. The Minnesota Vikings now are at 2-4, having a tough loss today to the Detroit Lions. I mean, they got a lot of talent. Justin Jefferson, Harrison Smith, T.J. Hawkinson, Chris Darrensaw, Jonathan Allen. I mean, they got talent on here. Aaron Jones. I mean, you got talent on here galore. And right now they're 2-4. So, that's definitely
a disappointment thus far for the Minnesota Vikings and Coach Balling. And just looking at their schedule, their upcoming schedule, let's see who the Vikings have. So just lost to the Lions. They have the Rams, the Indianapolis Colts, and then the Jaguars. So again, the Jaguars should be an interesting battle. Should definitely get 2 wins over the Rams and the Colts. Then they have the Bears. They have Arizona, Atlanta. They end the season with Seattle, Green Bay, and Detroit. So there is time for Minnesota to get back into the NFC playoff hunt. But right now at 2-4, we definitely have to look at this and say, yeah, they are definitely one of the teams that we would have looked at and thought that they would be a little bit more competitive on the season. And then finally, your Buffalo Bills with Coach Yales. I mean, you gotta tip your hat. Coach Yales again, knocked off the New York Jets right now, which is we don't want to call it an upset of the year, but just the way that the Jets were playing, you gotta say, okay, wait a minute, that was definitely an eye opener and definitely sent shockwaves throughout the PHFL. So now we got Coach Yales as at 5-1. So they're definitely one of the surprising teams in the PHFL. They're going to move to 6-1 on the season, knocking off the Tennessee Titans. And again, just overall looking at it from an offensive perspective, 11th in points, 9th in total yards, 14th in passing yards, and 11th in rushing yards for your Buffalo Bills. So again, you definitely got to tip your hat so far to Coach Yales. Got Seattle coming up with Miami. They also have Indianapolis, but then they got a nice stretch with Kansas City, San Francisco, Detroit. Got a rematch with New England and got a rematch with the Jets and got 2 with New England. So there's some tough games coming up for the Buffalo Bills, but right now you definitely got to tip your hat and say, listen, Coach Yales is definitely one of the surprising teams in the PHFL. So, again, Sim Laws would have smacked you and enjoyed it. Wow, okay. Man, got a lot of, trash talking in the chat between the Ravens coach and the coach of the Baltimore Ravens. Again, Mike S., man, I'm telling you, got 2 or 3 games a year where, man, he going to cause some problems. And in our PHFL game of the week, this was something right now that, when we looked at it from a total overall perspective, we looked at it and said, you know what? Green Bay is just going to have too much overall offense. Because when you look at it from an offensive perspective, Green Bay is 3rd, the Jags are 20th. Okay, but look at the defensive statistics, though. Defensively, Green Bay is 4th, Jacksonville is 2nd. Scoring offense, the Green Bay is 6th in the scoring offense for the Jaguars. They're ranked 18th. Scoring defense, the Jags are number 1. In scoring defense, they're number 2 in sacks. And then third down conversion. Both teams are able to keep the chains moving. So this should be definitely an interesting game. The Jaguars should definitely give the Green Bay Packers, they'll definitely give us some competition. We're not going to call it a blowout. They'll definitely be competitive. But I think overall, the talent and just the overall scheme of the Green Bay Packers will be a tad bit too much for the Baltimore or for the Jacksonville Jaguars. So probably look for the Green Bay Packers to win probably by like 14 points, 45-30. But again, should be definitely a competitive game. And I think we're going to start to get our PHFL Game of the Week telecast going live. You may shoot for the Commanders in the Carolina Panthers game if that's played today. Something that's rather interesting when we looked at some of the young rookie wide receivers in our Who Would You Rather Have segment. So when you look at it, Arian Smith and Matthew Golden. Okay, so let's break down, right, these 2 phenomenal phenom wide receivers. So Matthew Golden, 61 catches. Okay. And Arian Smith, 24. Okay, man, it's not even close. Receiving yards, 1,023 to 741. But Arian Smith have 12 touchdowns, while Matthew Golden has 11. And Arian Smith has literally 37 less receptions than Matthew Golden. Drops. Matthew Golden, 61 targets, 61 catches, 100% phenomenal.
Arian Smith only had 1 drop. Arian Smith is averaging 31 yards, in essence, if you round it up, per reception. Matthew Golden, 16, really rounded up to 17. Again, we talked about the reception percentage of yards after the catch. Matthew Golden is a hit and dev wide receiver. Arian Smith is 78. The longest catch is 94 yards for Arian, 78 for Golden. In the speed, again, it's a 1-point difference, 97 to 96. Again, what do you attribute those stats for? Is Arian Smith going more deeper, and then maybe Matthew Golden again more underneath? If you look at it, I don't know. I think probably because of the hidden dev, you probably got to take just a slight edge over a slight edge with Golden over Arian Smith. I don't think you can go wrong with either. But man, when you look at these stats from these two young phenoms, I mean, 24. This dude has 50% of his catches are touchdowns. I mean, again, when you say it in that realm and in that context, it's definitely something that you wait a minute. 50% of this dude's catches is a house call. So again, you got to look at this and say, hey, you know what? Definitely somebody that when you're playing the New York Football Jets, if you don't have your eyes peeked over there as a user, he's going to bump his head on the end zone, on the goalpost. So again, that's something that you definitely want to make sure that you're cognizant of when you're playing against the New York Jets. Again, I think both of these young receivers have a bright future ahead of them in the PHFL. Now, going around, just looking at before we close out the remainder of week number 6 in the PHFL, we talked about the Panthers over the Falcons. I think the big game, again, this was our late night game. The Dallas Cowboys knocked off the Detroit Lions 33-21. The Lions only mustered up 294 total yards, and they came in as the number 1 offense in the PHFL. I mean, they were number 1, and Dallas definitely controlled the game. Amassed 402 yards of total offense. Third down conversions, roughly both of them were the same. 3 turnovers by Detroit, 1 by Dallas. And again, the sacks taken, it was 3 by Detroit and 2 by the Cowboys. Looking at the quarterbacks, Hendon Hooker, 26 for 36, 290 yards, 3 touchdowns and 3 interceptions. And I think, again, when you look at this statistic, what stands out, only 8 yards pass per attempt. So that pretty much kind of tells you the game plan that they were looking to throw it, short, dink and dunk. Because when you have 36 attempts, I mean, just averaging 10 yards gets you 360 yards of passing yards. So you can tell the game plan was get the ball out of the kid's hand relatively quick. And then Dak Prescott, again, 15 for 19, 277 yards. So again, almost 17 fewer attempts and literally just 13 passing yards difference. But again, Dak 14 yards per pass completion, really 15, 3 touchdowns and 1 interception. I mean, just a balanced offensive attack. Again, Jahmyr Gibbs, let's look at him, guys. I mean, 4 carries for 26 yards for, I believe, a 96 overall running back, if I'm not mistaken. That's hard to really fathom that you're not utilizing his full skill set, Jahmyr Gibbs. And again, when you look at it, I mean, yep, he's a superstar in a 93 overall, 95 speed. He has 93 juke, 84 spin move, 92 change of directions, has 86 carries. I mean, again, I would imagine his agent right now, and when you go through and look at kind of the game log to see, how many carries that he's had, throughout the thus far the 6 games, you're probably not going to see any rushing attempts over. Right now it's loading. I'm gonna say he's not gonna have anything over 7 in the 6 games. Oh no, he had 13, but that was CPU. So he had 11 against Detroit, so 11 for 66, but 3 attempts against user Tampa Bay, 3 attempts against Arizona, and then with Dallas, 4 attempts. It's, again, when you have the type of talent that this team has, it's relatively, it's mind-boggling that, you know, some of the kind of the balance that Detroit is known for is not being implemented in a regular daily game plan ritual, and there's so much focus on, you know, I guess developing the quarterback. But I guess the question would need to be asked is, can you develop a quarterback by having a balanced attack? I would probably say yes. Again, especially with Detroit, with, again, they did previously had an elite offensive line. There was some quite a few trades. Detroit, I believe, now has 3 first-round picks. So again, you know, you definitely you're not going to question Coach DZ's GM acumen. He's definitely going to make trades. He's definitely going to put his team in what he feels that he needs more on the defensive end than it is on the offensive end. However, when you look at the defense, I mean, you got Aiden Hutchinson, you got 2 superstar safeties with Branch and I think it's Kirby Joseph. So you have talent on the defense. So again, it's you know, it's relatively, you know, mind-boggling that, you know, Detroit right now with Gibbs and with Montgomery, kind of that 2-headed monster, is not taking more of a balanced approach, especially, you know, when you're going up against, you know, some of the better teams. And, you know, the Cowboys came in undefeated. I mean, you know, they had a great come from behind victory over the Ravens. They have another come from behind victory over the Giants. I mean, they came in as a hot football team, and for you to be really one-dimensional, I think it's tough to beat any solid user in the PHFL without having, you know, some type of balance. And when you looked at Jaden Blue, he did have over 100 yards of offense rushing in that game. So again, you know, right now we will be interested to look at the stats against the Minnesota Vikings to see whether or not there was more balance. Jared Goff, I believe, if he didn't start the game, he definitely came into the game either second quarter or definitely before halftime to finish out the game. So again, you know, we'll take a look at the Detroit Lions as we go along throughout the season, just to see whether or not Jahmyr Gibbs, you know, maybe he'll ask for a trade. I mean, I don't know. Again, when you look at it and you look at it from a player perspective, and you know what, my contract, you know, me keeping my dev, you know, listen, man, if I can't get to tote the rock, I mean, you know, what are we doing? I mean, Jaden Blue, 21 carries, 105 yards. That's balanced offense. And then, you know, CeeDee Lamb, you know, 3 catches, 78 yards. Turpin, 1 catch, 72 yards. Cooper, 3 for 54. Jake Ferguson, 3 for 52. Jayden chipped in on the reception for 3 for 15. And Shoemaker, 2 for 6 yards. So, again, just a balanced attack when you look at 25, 26 rushing attempts. And then when you look at the Detroit Lions, only 7 attempts, and they lose 33 to 21. And again, David Montgomery, another bruiser that can definitely, you know, move the chains. Again, you know, maybe, you know, we'll call Detroit, and, you know, I think maybe at the end of the season, see if any one of those, you know, halfbacks are available via trade, because, you know, those 2 guys can definitely help out a locker room. They can definitely help out a team. You know, Montgomery's an 85 overall. He's only 28. You know, he's a power runner, 88 speed. He got 77 strength, 88 break tackles, 87 truck. Okay, I mean, again, just, you know, low cap hit. You know, could be, you know, only 6 years in the league. So he definitely could be, you know, a player that, you know, other teams would look at and definitely may have some interest in. So looking at this week in the PHFL, a couple of interesting games. We've already talked about Kansas City knocking off San Francisco, Detroit knocking off Minnesota. We have the Eagles and the Giants. Should be an interesting game. The Ravens defeated the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The Chargers and the Cardinals. The Cardinals gave the Packers all they wanted in our late night game that was in Brazil. I believe it was 48-45, if I'm not mistaken. Again, Coach Chronic, gave all that he could in that game. So again, going up against the Chargers, that should definitely be a very interesting game. Coming up in week number 7, and let's take a quick look at that Cardinals Green Bay game. I think it came down to like the last second field goal. Maybe that was the week. That might have been the week before. No, there it is. 49-42. That's right. They scored with like 2 seconds left on the clock. That's right. 2 seconds left on the clock. So again, great. And then look at it. You had 7 people. You had 7 people picking Green Bay. 1 person picked the Cardinals. So let's go through and look at kind of like who picked who. The Chargers and the Broncos were split in half. 7 people picked Coach BG. I think I was one of them. Can you look at it and see? Hold on. Oh, there it is. You can see it. Man, no, I wasn't one of them. I guess my bet didn't go through and with the bookies. I think the bookies closed me out. But 7 and only Coach Shump believed in himself. Again, the Lions, and I would have bet on True Gamer. I would have been the only one to bet on True Gamer. Look at this Wolf, Shump, Twitch, Yales, TD, Mike Gotta Win, and Chronic. Nobody believed in your Dallas Cowboys, ladies and gentlemen. Wow. Coach FB, I think everybody kind of rode on the Eagles wave. So we'll add this segment here also as we go along. Nobody picked Coach Whoop in this game. Look at Coach Woe. Coach Woe. I think he snuck that in, but Coach Chronic, Coach Wolf, Coach Shump, Coach Twitch, Yales, TD, and Mike Gotta Win, and Coach Woe might have snuck that in and got on the Seattle bandwagon late when all the money was rolling in. So again, I think this will be something that'll be very interesting as we go throughout the season as far as the bets are concerned. This was another one. I mean, Coach, Mike Gotta Win. Okay, Mike Gotta Win picked the Bills over the Jets. Coach Chronic, Coach Woe, Coach Wolf, Coach Shump, Coach Twitch, and Coach TDG. Now remember, I think if I'm not mistaken, we had one or two winners last year. So if you get all of your picks right, then you get a dev upgrade. So let's keep the excitement going with the picks. We'll talk about it as we go along. This was split right down the middle. I said this during the telecast. I got to find a way to be able to replay the previous telecast. What we said was Mike S. has 1 or 2 games in the season where he looked like a world beater, and we predicted this will be that week. So look at Shump. Shump picked Mike S. Twitch picked Mike S. Yales picked Mike S. And Mike Gotta Win picked Mike S. Chronic, Woe, Wolf, and TDG picked Rails. I ain't gonna lie, I would have picked Rails. I ain't gonna sit up being fake like I would have picked Mike S., even though that was what we said during the telecast. But that's my media responsibilities. Once I put my coach hat on, I would have picked Coach Rail in this game and would have lost. So this makes it kind of fun in the PHFL, especially, again, when you get down to that last couple of games. And I think, again, we had, maybe 2 or 3 people who definitely won opportunities to get DAF upgrades. So, listen, man, I thank everybody for tuning in. This is your boy, the Old Ball Coach, live from our beautiful studios right outside of Washington, D.C. Week 6/week 7 of the PHFL. We went through some highlights, user plays. We're going to grab more because I want to build it where it's a lot more of a flow. Again, I'm starting to get used to OBS and some of the things that we can do. So we're going to be even adding more content to our show. We got Who Would You Rather Have? Just 2 outstanding, young, talented wide receivers. Again, these guys here are making a huge impact in the PHFL. We went through our surprising teams, again, led by the Baltimore Ravens, who right now, again, are one of the surprise teams
in the PHFL. And of course, we started off, or at least one of the segments was our PHFL power ranking. And right now it's the Kansas City Chiefs world, where a couple of other teams are trying to kick in the door, waving the 4-4. But right now, Kansas City is on top of the food chain, where a couple of other teams looking to make their move as we head into week number 7 and week number 8 of the PHFL. So listen, man, this is your boy, the all ball coach, man. Love the competition, love the trash talk, love what we're doing as a community. Keep all the suckers out, sucker free in the PHFL. This is your boy, and I'm out.